Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dialogue with Dallas. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of a detour from what I anticipated the topic being for this week. However, I'm going to focus on conflict management because this has come up about 20 times, and I'm not making this up, about 20 times over the last month where we've had to work with adults in dealing with conflict. And I know a lot of times we think about conflict and we think about things that young people may have, and we have conflict resolutions, but this happens with adults all the time. Matter of fact, and reviewing the research on this, conflict management, 70% of adults say they are uncomfortable dealing with conflict. Now, they didn't break that down between their professional or their personal situations. However, 70% is a large number. Almost three quarters of America has a problem with conflict. But in terms of leadership, in an anonymous survey, over 50% of leaders said they had a problem with conflict. And so clearly we have to talk about this. And so in my opinion, there are three ways to deal with conflict. And it really involves talking, it involves listening, and it involves acting. Talking about it. Many times we want to avoid the conflict because we don't want to make someone upset. We don't want to deal with what the situation may be, but we have to talk about it. The longer we let things fester, the worse they become. And there are ways that we can talk about it. We really want to hear what the person is saying as opposed to automatically wanting to impose what we want them to hear. And that transitions us to number two, again, which is listening. And listening is not with an agenda. Listening is not with a competing personality where we want to win. Listening really is understanding the other person's side. So whether it's our personal or our professional situation, taking a step back and asking the person, help me understand what you were thinking in the moment when that decision was made. Help me understand what I could have done from your vantage point to make this better. If you understand that, you might not necessarily agree, but at least you put yourself in the person's shoes to figure out why the decision was made. And last but not least, we must act. Once the talking and once the listening has been done, once we come to a resolution, and acting really involves working on the behaviors, acting on the behaviors, and not acting on the personalities. Many times we have conflict with people because of the personality. We need to focus on the behavior, on the actions of the person, and set aside the personality. But I can't tell you how many times people will talk, they'll listen, but they don't act. They have no follow through. And so I believe, again, personally, when we deal with conflict, which we all have to do in our personal and again in our professional lives sometimes too, we have to talk, we have to listen, and we have to act. I want to know about you, and I want to know what some things that you're doing to deal with conflict management on your job as leaders or as aspiring leaders. And let's have a conversation about that until we can dialogue again with Dallas.